Welcome back to another video, everybody. My name is Ski Mask Bro, and I have yet again re-emerged from the woodworks after 8 months. And what better way to do that than to create another tutorial video for you guys to show you guys how to use Excel, starting from the very sort of basic foundations of your mechanical movements, along with ultimately how to string these mechanics together to build something that flows logically. So with that said, before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all of the support you guys have been giving me over the past year and a half since me and my roommates started this channel. We're currently at a 1.3k subscribers. It's not huge, but at the same time, I wasn't really expecting to get past 200. Like, I was just in my bullpen one day studying for private equity interviews, and I was just like, what? Like, this would be, it would be so funny if someone put on, like, a ski mask and made, like, a high-quality LBO video. It would be, one, professional, but two, it would also, like, loop in a bunch of jokes and stuff like that. And, like, people told me that it was a stupid idea, and I just wanted to try it to see if there's, I guess, quote-unquote product market fit. And, even after months of not posting and being inactive, like, we're getting subscribers, we're rolling up, we're getting views, and it's surprising to me because it shows me that there's something here. And thank you guys so much for helping me sort of getting that get that initial start. And just so you guys know, like, even though I'm not sort of reading, like, I'm not replying to the comments, I'm reading all of it, and they're going straight to my heart, they're going through my brain, whether it's positive or negative feedback, and I'm processing all of it, and I'm really taking it into account when I'm sort of deciding which direction to take my channel and how to structure my videos on a go forward basis. And I'm gonna post a separate video on that soon. That's coming out. It's already in production. Um, but yeah, like, for those of you who don't know me, I'm wrapping up my first year at a large private equity firm, and prior to this, I did 3 years in investment banking at one of the sweatiest coverage slash M&A groups on the street. So I have all of your battle scars, whether it be working 100-hour weeks, pulling all-nighters, stress, anxiety, making mistakes, getting yelled at for making those mistakes, and quite frankly, I'm still making a lot of mistakes, right? I'm not sure what stage of your career that you guys are in right now. I'm assuming a lot of you guys are probably earlier than me relatively, but I'm still pretty young in my career, and I'm also developing the same as you guys, and I sort of just want to take you guys on this journey with me. So with that said, let's get started. So, Excel Training Crash Course 101. One of the themes that I'm seeing in my comments is just like, Ski Mask Bro, how are you so fast at Excel? How do I get to that point? Can you make a video on learning Excel mechanics? And before I start, I just want to say that, like, I already have 4 full years of experience in finance. So I have well over 10,000 hours on this application. Sorry, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see me. Okay. I've already sort of accumulated over 10,000 hours on Excel. When I started, I was really slow, right? Like, no one starts fast. And it's all about sort of like learning the shortcuts, using them over and over again, and then sort of like having that become second nature over time, and then just getting better at it on the job, whether it's through your various internships or whether it's through your first year in banking. Like, it's the learning curve is sort of exponential at the beginning and it sort of curves off. So that's where I am right now. And yeah, like, this video is created from my perspective and what I wish I had when I was recruiting, right? I feel like when I was sort of trying to learn Excel, there wasn't someone making videos about this. Like, there's obviously like videos on like how to use formulas, how to use like index match, sum if, VLOOKUP, but there wasn't a lot about mechanics, which is probably more important than functions to a certain point. So that's to sort of like pull up a lot of stuff from Wall Street Oasis forums, from Macabis, 10x, right? So this video is going to be sort of synthesizing together all of the various sort of information that you could pull from different desperate parts of the internet, and pulling this together for you guys to really build a solid foundation in Excel, if that is what you're looking to do. So if you guys have any feedback, positive or negative, please post it below. I'm reading it even if I'm not responding, and I'm going to use it to iterate on each and every one of my channels. Each and every one of my videos. So with that said, let's get started. So when you guys think of Excel, right, there's 3 primary things, pillars that makes you sort of good at it or you guys should focus on developing. One is mechanical proficiency, right? It's basically how well you know your shortcuts, whether it be moving up, down, left, right, adding new columns, subtracting rows, adding borders, etc. The second one is mechanical efficiency, right? It's how fast you can sort of string together these shortcuts on a back-to-back basis like it's second nature. This one takes a little bit of practice and repetition, right? It's sort of like a sport, right? For example, right now it's the US Open. When you're learning tennis or some sort of sport, right, it's all about sort of mastering your fundamentals and building a very strong foundation. And the only way you can do that is, like a lot of tennis players, like they get fed balls or they do serves over and over again. It's the same thing, right? Like you guys gotta just do certain things in Excel over and over again and just sort of learn it, and then it becomes second nature. And the third thing is logic flow, right? Which also is hard after you learn the proficiency and the efficiency. It's sort of how well the stuff that you sort of put together on a Excel sheet sort of flows, and how easy it is for someone to check and sort of follow the logic of your various formulas and, let's say, like the P&L that you've laid out. So with that said, we're gonna go straight into it. So the first tab that I've put together is called mechanical training. So this video is meant for you guys in undergrad, or some of you guys might notice, so you guys could skip to a later part of the video. But the first one is setup training, right? What we're gonna do, I'm gonna basically perform shortcuts. I'm gonna slap it on the screen for every shortcut that I'm doing. I'm gonna walk you through this very slow. So when you're setting up an Excel sheet, like I do in my LBO modeling videos, you're gonna start off by removing grid lines. So it's gonna be Alt W V G, and that removes the grid lines. And the way that you guys should think about Excel is that Excel is like an onion, right? It's multi-layered, and you guys see sort of this quick access toolbar right here, right? You guys have your home, you insert, page layout, formulas, etc. And you could access this one with your mouse, right? Which is going to be extremely slow. Or you could access this with your keyboard, and all of these different functions up here can be touched with your keyboard. So once you guys click Alt, what I mean by an onion is that the Alt lets you sort of switch in to like the first layer of macros that you guys see, which is H for home, N for insert, P for page layout. So if you click H, you click into your home, right? And then you have access to all of these subcategories or sub macros under this primary ribbon right here. And then you guys could sort of like pick what you guys want or what functions you guys want. So for removing grid lines, or we're going to add it back, it's Alt W. So you're going to click Escape, back out one layer. W is in View right here. So you're going to click W. And then V, G for grid lines. So when you guys see two buttons together, you guys click them very fast. Not at the same time, but very fast, back to back. So it's Alt W, VG, like a music sheet. So VG. Your grid lines are back. We're going to do it again. Alt W, VG. Grid lines gone. And now the second thing you guys see here, right, is change the column width to 1. Right, so when you're setting up an Excel sheet, right, you always, ideally, at least from my perspective, you just want to leave like a little bit of white space. So 1 blank column. Some people leave 2, some people leave 3. It just depends on preference. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to leave 1 column. But you don't want this column to stretch all the way out, right? Especially sometimes when you're leaving 3, then you have like the rest of your sheet to like the other right-hand side of your page. So you want to shrink this column. So what we're going to do is Alt, we're going to click into that top ribbon, H, open up, and you're gonna find column. So where is sort of the column manipulators here, right? Right here, format. It's gonna be under here. O, and then you're gonna have your various options. It opens up another layer of drop down, and you can click whatever button. And for this one, we're gonna go column width. So it's Alt H O W, and then you open up, and you get to choose what your width is. Usually, I just choose 1. Enter, and it sort of shrinks that column. So let's do undo. Undo is Control Z, right? So let's say, oh, my bad, I typed in like 2, I want to make it 1. Undo. All right, so when you click Control Z, it sort of undoes your previous action. And if you want to redo, it's Control Y. Oh, never mind, I don't want to undo. I actually like what I put, so redo. So it's Control Z, undo. Control, hold down Control, Y, redo. Right? So with that said, let's get to movement. So with movement, right, this is probably the number one thing that's going to determine how fast you are at Excel, right? It's sort of your movement and your efficiency across pages, and that's number 2 of what I put in the prior page. So you can either arrow key your way to from column B to column K, right? Which is very slow, especially sometimes when your spreadsheet gets to 1,000 columns or 1,000 rows long and you have monthly data ranging back from 2016, right? You're not going to be able to sort of like hold your thing and go all the way to the left, right? So what you can do is that we're going to start here at cell B8, and you're going to hold down your control, and you're going to do right, bottom, left, up. So what control does when you hold it down in conjunction with your arrow keys is that it lets you hop to the last cell in your array, like in your column or in your row, depending on whether you're going horizontal or vertical, that has a value in it, right? So column B is the beginning of my value. And column K right here is where I have my last value. So when you hold down control and you go right, it hops to column K. And then when you click down control and you go left, it hops back to column B, because that's the last cell that's not blank and has a value. And you go control down, you go down, and now you can click control down again. It'll hop you to 19, right? Because that's the next cell that has a value. So control will always skip you to cells that have values. So with that said, we're going to skip to the second one. And now what's the second instruction? It's fill in the blank array using shift, control, and paste, right? So now you know control, you're moving up and down. The next thing is control and shift at the same time. And what that does in conjunction with your up, down arrow keys or left, right, is that now when you're moving down, it highlights things, right? So when you hold shift alone and you go down, it sort of like moves things, right? So like it highlights wherever you go. And then when you click control and shift, hold them down at the same time, you go down, it highlights the entirety of the array with cells with values in them. So we're going to click control C, that's copy. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this just from using the computer. Control C, and you're going to go all the way here to column K. And then control V, which is paste. Paste. And now you guys have all of this array. But now let's undo, control Z, go back. We're going to do this faster, right? What's a faster way to do this? Now this is sort of efficiency and also logic flow, right? It's like a puzzle, and this is where Excel gets really, really fun. You control C, copy, and now you're going to hold down your control, go up to the right to column K. You're going to skip there, and then you're going to come here, go down, hold control shift, go back to the left, and then click control V. And it looked really slow, but once you get fast at it, this is what it should look like that. And you come back here, control, arrow key to the left. Now, control shift, arrow key to the right, copy, go down, paste. And now you have all these X values. So now we know up, down, control, shift. Those are your 4 basic fundamentals. And then control V, control C. And now we're going to do linking, right? Linking is the fun part, because what linking does is that it uses your equal sign, and then it brings you a value from another cell that you're linking it to, right? So let's say we're going out to cell B19, enter, right? Boom, there's the link, right? And now it's in green. We're gonna remove the color real quick afterwards, but now we're linking that array. And what this instruction is telling you is that we want the entirety of the array. So you're gonna repeat what we did. So now you've linked the formula, your formula is created, and you're gonna copy, go all the way to column K, go all the way down, paste, right? And there is your array. And you guys can see if I F2 is how you go into a cell to check what the formula is, right? So when you F2, there's your formula, equals K19. So it's linking from K19, and then there's also a color code to show you exactly where it's linking. So it's coming from here, coming from up here, coming from up here. And let's see if we have the entire array. Good. Okay, so we have, how many do we have? We have 10 from top to bottom, which is perfect. And now, right now you see that the cells are highlighted in green. What we could do is we could remove the highlight and sort of like make it black, right? So the rule in banking or in Excels in general for to keep your sheet clean is that anything that is linking from an external sheet, right? So from another tab in your Excel, so you see these tabs out here, they should be highlighted in green. Anything that's hard coded should be highlighted in blue. And anything that's linking intra-sheet or a formula that's intra-sheet, it should be black. So this is a link, but this link is intra-sheet, so it's technically a formula, right? A link is a formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold Control and Shift, go down, go to the right, highlight the entirety of the array, and we're going to go back to our toolbox on top. Alt H. Now we're going to look for color. Where's color? Where's text color? Right here, right? Usually you guys click here with the mouse. It says FC, so you're going to hit FC very quick. Alt H FC. Oh, oops, I hit Alt H FC, and it's going to pop up your color palette. And what you're going to do is here, right, like now this is where you use your sort of arrow keys. And we want to make it black, right? So it automatically populates on black, or you can go down here, one arrow down, one arrow to the right, enter. Now it's black. And let's go back up here and make the hard codes in blue, right? So to come here, highlight, Control Shift, go down. You want to highlight the bottom two, so go down again. To the right. Alt H FC, open up the color palette. And now, like a lot of the times, like the blue code should be hashtag, I think 0000, right? On your native Excel, it doesn't show you the color of blue that we usually use, so you're gonna click M for more colors. And now this is where you pick up your mouse, right? Because sometimes when you're using a mouse in Excel, it's more efficient to use a mouse. Like some people, you know, like they be using a keyboard for everything, even when they're making charts. Like that's marginal return on speed. It doesn't matter, just use your mouse. So what we use is we use this color right here. At least I hope it's that color, because I'm wearing sunglasses so to block out my eyes. But I think it's this color. You're gonna click OK, and now we're all in blue. Okay, so these are the hard codes. And now we're gonna hard code another array, and this is important, right? Because it's what it's saying here is that it's saying hard code the array above to paste as values. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this. Like normally, what happens, right, when you copy a formula, right? For example, if you copy this B19 like we saw before, and you drag down and you Control C, Control V to paste, the formula moves, right? If it's not quote unquote anchored, right? So it's like if you were to move your formula 5 cells down, right, the linkage goes down 5 cells. So it's like this becomes an issue sometimes, right? Because let's say you're not consistent, or these values are completely different. Or like the spacing isn't consistent, and let's say you do Control V. The issue, right, is that now your formula is dislocated, and now you're linking to the wrong location, right? So it's like what we're gonna do is we want the values here to populate here. You could either one, relink, or you could hard code. So you're gonna come here, you're gonna copy the array. But then hard coding with formulas doesn't work usually. Like the Control V doesn't work because you're just pasting the formula. So, which is the reason why you need to use a special type of paste called paste formatting. So what paste formatting is you're going to do Alt ES. And Alt ES is one of those special ones that don't pop up on your Excel. So this is something that you need to remember from day one, which is your paste special, right? And now once you hop into your paste special tab, you're going to see, what do you want to paste? You want to paste everything, which is basically what we have before, which is you're going to paste your formula, the color of whatever that those cell is, the format. You're going to drag all of that. Or you could just drag your format. Or you could just paste the values, which rips away the formula, just gives you hard-coded values. And that's what we're looking for. But instead of clicking on values, what we're going to do is we're going to click V, because it's underlined V. So that's how you access it. So V, enter. And now you see up here, it's not a formula like this. It's a hard code. And now what we want to do is, because it's a hard code, we want this to be in blue. So you could do Alt HFC and then sort of come down here for your recent colors and make it blue. But that's slow because you already have the blue up here. So what you guys could do that's faster is you guys highlight one cell up here that already has the blue format. You're going to come down here and you're going to do, okay, Alt, yes, very quickly, paste special, T for format. You're going to paste the format because format is inclusive of everything, including whether your thing is aligned left, center, or right. And it also includes sort of like the font and the colors it's coming with. So enter. Now it's blue. And now, let's say, oh, for the hard coding, I want these things to go to the left, right? Because right now it's centered. So what you're going to do is you're going to do Alt H A L for left, right? You see it here. Now let's center it again, right? This is the one we're going for. It's under home. Alt H A C. Or you could do right. Alt H, oh oops. Alt H, oh oops. Alt H A R, right. Right? And then once you get very fast at it, it's Alt H A C, Alt H A L, Alt H A C, Alt H A R. So it becomes like very second nature for you guys. And also, you could also use your quick access toolbar, which is right here. But surprisingly, I do not use a quick access toolbar, so I don't know how to use it. Like Training the Street told me to use it, but I just never got to it. So I just remember all of the raw data is off the top of my head, and you know it's marginal to speed once you get quick at the mechanics, anyways. So yeah. So with that said, I think we have all of the required necessities needed to sort of build out a very simple P&L. So right here you have your financial summary tab, which we're going to populate. Here we have our raw data tab, right, which is essentially what we're going to be linking to on the financial summary tab. And I'm going to be telling you guys exactly what I'm doing and the keystrokes that I'm using to get there. So raw data, we're going to transform this into something that is presentable, right? So from what you guys see here, this looks very ugly. We're going to come to the financial summary tab and we're going to bring it back home. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing as before. So Alt W V G, remove everything. A, Alt H O W, change the column to 1. And now we're going to name this sheet. So it's going to be financial summary. And let's say, like when you go back one tab, so to move tabs, right, you can either click on it, look at my cursor, or you can hold Control and you go page up, page down on your keyboard, which is right between your sort of QWERTY or like your QWERT and your number pad on your keyboard. I'm assuming most of you guys have like the full keyboard. So if you go up here, you notice that the font for this tab is all Arial and it's 10. You come to the financial summary tab, it's 11. So what are we going to do? We're going to make it consistent and we're going to make it 10. So in order to highlight the entirety of the tab, right, this is where you guys learn to highlight rows and to add rows, right? To highlight a row, you hold shift and you click your spacebar. Oops. You hold shift and you click your spacebar. That's the row. To highlight a column, you hold control and you click your spacebar. That's a column, right? And now let me put an X here just to show you guys. Let's say, oh, I want to add an additional row. Shift, spacebar, highlight the column, and then you're going to hold your control and your shift, and you're going to click plus. Right? Plus, 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 plus. Same thing with adding a column. Let's say I want to add a column to the left of C. So you're going to hold, you're going to hold control, click spacebar, highlight the entirety of the column. Hold control and shift and click plus, 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 plus. So you're adding new columns. So in order to change the entirety of the font size, what you do is you're going to do control, spacebar, highlight the entirety of the column, and then shift, spacebar, highlight the entirety of the sheet. And now we're going to alt again into home and we're going to get access to this font size. So what do? Alt H. You see this? FS. Click it very quick. FS. And now you're in. Now we're going to make 10. Enter. And now the entirety of your sheet for this tab is font size 10. We're gonna bold it, Control B, right? Control these you probably know from Microsoft Word in like elementary school, right? So it's Control B, Control I to sort of like italicize, Control B. So like these I won't go too much into detail. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna highlight all the way across. So hold Shift, click your arrow keys to the right, and then we're gonna add a bottom border to make it look good. So where is my border, right? My border is right, I'm like forgetting, but it's right here, right? So you want access to borders, so you're gonna do Alt H, border B. We want a bottom border, so O, right? So now it gives you a border. And let's say, oh, I don't want this border, I want a thicker border. You're gonna go back again, Alt HB with the thick border. It's H, thick bottom border, H, boom, a thick border. Thick like your mom's butt. No, I'm joking, but it's a thick border. And now we're gonna start building and populating our sheet. So let's see, what's the first one? Revenue. Before we type in revenue, we're gonna do dates, right? So it's gonna be 2020. Wait, first year of data starts in 2020, right? And now what we want to do is we want to do 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and then some projections. But the issue is that it's very slow if I do 2021, 2022, 2023, right? What I can do is I could use a formula. So it'd be equals, you go to the left, and you type in your formula, +1, right? So this formula is going to be whatever cell to the left of me, it's going to be one value bigger. And now you're going to do Control, hold your Shift and Control, go right, and then paste. You want to paste the formula. So now it looks like this. Now let's throw it at 2024, but let's say we want to add in like a 5-year forecast, 2025 through 2029, right? So this +1 goes on forever. So you stop it at 29. And now let's say you accidentally go to 30, like I did before, right? Oops, I pasted too many values. What should I do? You want to delete out. But the difference between this and Word is that backspace, right, deletes what's in the cell and then brings you into the cell. For Excel, you don't use backspace, you use the delete button, right? Which is basically in that same area where your page up, page down is. Delete. And now we have our dates, and now we want to label it. So from 2020 to 2023, right? These are actuals, right? These are years that have already occurred. 2024, not yet, because we're still in the latter half of 24. So now we're going to learn a new thing called the number formatter. So you're going to hold down your Control, and you're going to click 1. This is just like Paste Special. You need to remember this because this is not on your ribbon. So you're going to hold down Control, you're going to click 1. It's going to pop up this thing called Format Cells. And then you have all of these various things. This is also an onion within an onion because there's multi-layered. So when you start out, you can only go left, right? Like you have your protection, fill, border, font, alignment, number. Once you click Tab, it goes into the next layer of where you want to go, right? So now Tab, you're in here. And now what we want is we want to come down to Custom usually. And we want to sort of like edit this. So when you're here in Format, in Custom, you click Tab, and now you're in here. So you're a layer deeper than where you were before. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to type in General. Because General just gives you like the most basic of number formats. And then you want to label it as actuals. So you want to put an A next to it. So you could do A, right? It'll pop up. But do not get into this habit of inserting letters without quotations. Because for A, this Excel will recognize that you're trying to label as actual because it's pretty common. But the issue, right, is that when you're trying to like put something out, like let's say 20 boats down the row, right? This is like a code that pulls in like various different things. So like if it's not an A, it fucks up your numbers. So what you want to do is you want to put quotations. So Excel knows that you're trying to attach a specific naming convention to the back. So A, close your quotations. Enter. And now you're going to come here, 2024 to 2029. So now, let's say that you guys, let's say that we're in 2029, right? And you've inserted your format to 23 by accident. And now you're like, oh, damn, I got to go through this whole process again. Control 1, hop into format cells, and then do it again. No, what you guys can do is you guys can click F4. And this F4 button is very important because F4 repeats your prior action. So no matter what you did prior, F4 repeats the action. So we just added an A. You click F4. Oh, oops. You click F4. And it basically does what you just did to your prior cell to the current cells that you've highlighted. But we want these in E, right? So you're going to click Control 1. So it's already in custom now because you've already pasted a custom norm format. You're going to tab in to here. You're going to tab in again. So click tab twice very quick. You're in here. You're going to delete the A. You're going to type in E. Capital E. Now you have this good. Now what we want to do is we want to make this look pretty, right? So you're going to highlight it. So what you're going to do, I taught you how to do fonts, but now you want this highlight. So how do you highlight? You're going to do Alt-H. Highlight is just H, right? H for highlight. A lot of these are like built to be intuitive. So it's like FC is font color, right? So it's like Alt-H FC font color, or Alt-H highlight, Alt-H highlight. So now let's highlight this in this color. We're just gonna do something random. Ooh, I can't see the numbers anymore, right? Like it's dark on dark. I want to make this white. So Alt-H font color FC. One arrow key down to your palette, make it white. Control B, bold. And now you're set. So let's start building out the raw data, right? The first one we have is a revenue. And now let's say, oh, I inserted this too early. I want to add like a new column, right? Sorry, a new row above. So we have some spacing so it doesn't look cramped up. You're gonna do Shift, space, highlight the row. Like we said before, hold Control and Shift, and you're going to click plus. You're going to add a row on top. But the issue, right, with adding a row is that the moment you add a row, it carries the format from the row above you, right, which is why it carried over sort of this highlight. So you want to remove it. So Shift, spacebar, Alt-HH to hop in a highlight, and you click N for no fill, right? Just removes all color. N. And now revenue we're going to link, right? We're going to link to the raw data, which is 10. We're going to copy, drag it over to 35. And now I'm going to teach you guys how to hop between sheets, right? Like when you're building a model, the best practice is you have your raw data on one tab and you have your output that's pulling from the raw data. Do not fuck with your raw data, right? Because a lot of times in banking, your clients are going to send you over very fucked up information, and your job as the banker is to clean it. And the issue is that, like, if you mess with the raw data, no one's going to really, like, know how to check if you're doing it correctly because you sort of messed with the universal truth of things, right? So things needs to link to the original source file so your superior, your associate, your VP could check if the things you're pulling into your model is pulling correctly. So that's why we're linking instead of just formatting this raw data tab. So now we only have up to 24. We're going to build the projections in a little bit. And now what do you have next? You have your cogs. You're going to link it again. But because your formula is already linked pretty consistently, you don't really need to sort of you don't really need to do like equals and go back here again and link. What you can do is you can just copy the formulas and bring it down, right? Because your formula ultimately shifts position, and because they're so close to each other, you can just copy it down and drag it right to you. And now let's say you have like a very large model and you're like, where is this 15 coming from, right? How do I trace it? It's basically you hold Control and you have your brackets, right? So right next to the P on your keyboard, it's the left bracket. So Control, left bracket, it will bring you to exactly the cell where you're linking from. And now if you want to return back to your financial summary tab, you're going to click F5. And what F5 does is F5 remembers the prior location on the prior sheet where your cell was before you moved it. You're gonna click F5, enter, right? Where does 30 coming from? Control, left bracket. Oh, I see. Let's go back to where I was. F5, enter, right? F5, enter. 35, F5, enter. Right? And then you could do F5 and enter, and you guys can hop between sheets. For example, X, right? Where is this coming from? Oh, here. Okay, delete. F5, enter. Delete. And now the next stage is formatting. So your cogs. The issue with this, right, a lot of banking models is you don't want to show negatives, right? Like you want to show a parenthesis because a negative is just like a floating thing that's, you confuse it for a subtraction sign. You don't really like know what it is. It's not cohesive, like not cohesive. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go back to your number formatter, highlight both of these, Control 1, pop up format cells, tab in, go all the way down to custom, and this is the format you guys need to remember. Hashtag, comma, hashtag, hashtag, 0. Right? What this does is that it pops up. The comma shows you that every 3 values there's a comma, right? So if you're in the billions or millions, it shows commas for every 3 values, like a normal number. And then you're going to do underscore, right parentheses, right? You guys can see that the sample, when you do underscore, it like doesn't show anything behind it, but underscore is rather like a space. So it's saying that you're creating like a space here, and you're gonna do semicolon, parentheses, hashtag, comma, hashtag, hashtag, 0, close parentheses. So what this semicolon does is that it dictates to you the change in number format, right? So the left of the semicolon is positive numbers. The right of the semicolon is negative numbers, right? So it's gonna say every negative number give me, within parentheses instead of negative sign, this number, and you're gonna semicolon again. Remember, positive, negative, 0. So what happens if it is 0? I want quotation marks, 2 dashes, enter. So now you see that like now the numbers are aligned, right? If I zoom in, you see that if I didn't put this space right here, your 10 would actually be a little bit over to the right, which wouldn't line up with the number placement, right? So that sort of invisible underscore sort of creates a space for positive numbers, so it lines up with the negative numbers. Okay, so your revenues, your cogs, and now let's say, what's revenue plus cogs? Gross margins. Sorry, gross profit. And it'd be equals revenue plus your cogs. And now it's a formula, right? You're gonna copy, paste over. And now, because it's a formula and because it's because there's a summation going on, and it's creating your gross profit, you want to make it known. So you're gonna highlight. Hold your shift and control to the right, bold. And now Alt H B, we want a top border. So where's the top? It's P. Where's P? It's under O. P, top border. That is what it looks like. Now the issue is that your gross profit is too big, right? It's getting cut out. So what we can do, right? Normally you could do this. You could do, like in college I used to do this. You could size it with your mouse, or you could do what we did before, Alt H O W, and you can sort of guess the column width, right? 10, oh, that's perfect, right? Or let's say you fucked up, right? Let's say it's a longer thing and 10 is too short still. You guess a 7. Oh, I'm still cutting off numbers. There's a formula here that lets you sort of specifically make the column width true to size to whatever the cell you're in, right? So you're going to stay on your gross profit. You're going to be Alt H O, that's the format, and then there's a function here that's under W that says auto fit column width. So it auto fits to your specific need, I. And it'll create like a best fit sort of like column dimensions for whatever thing you're trying to fit in. So I'm not highlighting anything, so it like just brings you to there. But if you were to highlight the entire column, you notice how financial summary is still longer. So when you auto fit that, Alt H O I, it pushes it out even more. But I don't want that. I like my columns tight. So I'm going to undo, Control Z. Now what's next step? My operating expenses. So S&M, R&D, GNA. I'm gonna link all of it. Notice how your shit is fucked up here, right? There's a decimal place, there's a -3, there's a -5. Copy, because there's already a number formatter here. Highlight this array. Paste special. What is it again, guys? Alt-ES. Pause this up. You're going to paste your format. Do not Control-V, because then you're going to be pasting your formula, and your formula is not going to be anchored, and your array is going to shift, so you're not going to get the value that you want. So you're going to do Control Special, Paste Special, T, Alt-EST, format. And now you're going to come back here. We're going to do the same thing. Total operating expenses. And now you have 3 numbers, right? You could do 1 plus 2 plus 1, or you could do a summation. Sum, go up, hold your shift, and go up so it captures all of it. Close parentheses, enter. Or there's a faster way to do this, which I don't usually do, but you hold your Alt and you click plus. When you hold Alt and you click plus, it sums up everything that's above the column. That's where there's values within a particular spacing, right? So it'll like sum up columns, rows 12 through 10, but it won't sum up 8 because there's a column cutting it off. Enter. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to paste the formula across. You could Control-C, copy, arrow key to the right, or what we did before, mechanically, go up to the right, down, paste, right? And this is way faster. Let's count it, right? You're going to be Control, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, paste. Or you can Control. That sort of difference in timing makes a world of difference when you're sort of building out a very complex model, because it cuts down like your microseconds and they add up to minutes to hours. This is very important. Now we run into the same issue again. Practice through repetition, right? Highlight, like go into the cell, Alt-H, auto fit your width, I. And now what do we want to do? We want the border and we want it bold. We could come in here and do 2 functions. We could bold, Alt-HBP, add a top border. Or what we could do is we could do, no, I already have it here. I'm not going to do 2 separate values. I'm just going to copy. Alt-ES, paste special, T, paste your format. Now, since you're bolded again, your text expanded, total operating expenses, you're going to do it again. You're going to readjust, Alt-HOI, auto fit the width. And now you have this. And now what is your gross profit plus your operating expenses, or minus your operating expenses? It's your EBITDA. This is very simplified, right? Obviously there's like other things going on, but just for simplicity purposes. Now what is your EBITDA? It's your gross profit plus your operating expenses. Now you can highlight and add a top border, or undo, Control-Z. You come up here, Alt-EST, paste format. Now your EBITDA line is the final line on this P&L. We're not going to net income because that's all the data that we have. Highlight across, Alt-H, we want to put a double border on the bottom. So Alt-HB, what's the double border? It's B, double bottom. So Alt-HBB. So now you can see how this sort of raw data is being transformed into something that's relatively presentable, right? So this is ultimately how you're going to get fast at Excel, right? Just doing these very basic things. It's not building out your index match. It's not doing complex formulas, right? Like in the beginning when I was using Excel, like a lot of people are like, this is how you do this formula, this is how you do that formula. And people are flexing on each other regarding formulas. For me, I'm actually not really that good at formulas, right? I could use your sum products, I could use the sum ifs, I could use your index matches, right? But in reality, it's all about your basic mechanical functions that you're building out and how fast you are with those that makes or breaks sort of how good you are at in Excel. So what are we going to do now? We're going to do this repetition, but we're going to build some complexity here. So what are we going to do? We're going to insert a new row. Shift, spacebar, hold shift and control, plus. We're going to build out revenue growth, right? Percentage, how much is revenue growing by? Percentage of revenue growth. We want to italicize this whole column, right? Because every number we want here will be italicized. We don't want to go into cell to cell and italicize. We want this whole thing to be italicized. So shift, spacebar, control, I, italicize, and then you're going to do sort of your growth formula, right? it's growing at 100%. And you drag it across. 0, 0. What's the issue here? It's not number formatted in percentages. Hold Control 1, tab into custom, tab into here. You don't want your number format to be used above. What you want is you want a percentage, right? So you're going to do 0, percentage. Don't forget, underscore, close parentheses, semicolon, 0, parentheses, 0. If 0, give me that. So now you have your percentages with no decimal places. Gross profit, same thing. Oops. Control Z undo. Okay. Percentage, gross margin. We want to remove the bold, right? Because when you insert a new row, it carries the format of the row on top. Get rid of that. Alt EST. Paste out your formats. Now, same thing with your S&M, right? You're going to come here and you're going to do as a percentage of revenue. And now I'm going to speed up here to show you guys what this looks like in real time. Now, what you guys are going to learn is anchoring, right? So when you're sort of, let's say you're calculating as a percentage of revenue, right? All these calculations are going to be the same, right? Like, what's your S&M as a percentage of revenue? It's 1/10. What's your R&D as a percentage of revenue? It's 2/10, right? When you just use formulas without the anchors and you drag down, it messes up, right? Because it drags down the placement of your linked cells. So what you want to do is you want to, once you build the formula in, you want to F2 into the cell, come in here, and then if you click F4 while you're in the cell, you get to add $signs. And these signs are anchors. What they do is that if you're anchoring to both, there's $signs. The letters are the columns, the numbers are the rows. So if you have a $sign in front of a number, it means that when you drag the cell, the rows will not move as you drag it, but it will move column-wise. If you anchor the letter, it will move column-wise, but it'll stick to the row, right? And what do we want here? We want to keep revenue consistent. So we want the row to never move, but we want the columns to move. So when you keep clicking F4, it just sort of rotates behind like what gets anchored. You want the $sign to just be in front of the 13. So you're going to click F4 twice. Enter. And now. Oh, God. I messed up. Oh, oops. Whiffed. You're not anchoring the blue, right? You're anchoring the red because red is revenue. So you're going to come here. F4 twice. Okay, now it's better. And now you're going to come up to gross margin. Because you want the percentage value. Alt EST, paste the percentages. Now you're like, okay, I don't want this to show as negatives because it confuses me. You're going to F2, arrow key upwards all the way back, make it negative so you can see, okay, S&M is 14% of revenue. And now, what is my EBITDA margin? You're going to come here, italicize EBITDA margin, italicize the entire row, revenue. You're gonna come here. Okay, now you have a fulsome P&L, and you can build out your sort of projections. And this isn't a modeling video. You can see the projections build out. It's the same thing as everything else in the LBO tutorials. But basically, I'm gonna make this gray, Alt HH gray. You can see this is how you ultimately format your Excel based off raw data and how you use the mechanics. Let's delete this. But yeah, guys, this is it for the Excel tutorial. My recommendation to you guys, if you're still watching by the end, is to sort of do this over and over again, right? Like for your mechanical training, just come here if you're a beginner and just do this, right? It's the same thing as when you're practicing a sport, right? When you're doing tennis and they're sort of throwing balls at you, right? And you're just sort of going at the forehands over and over and over again until you get mastery of your foundations. And once you're good with this, you come here to the financial summary and you just build this raw data into what you see here. You just do it over and over and over again, right? Like, you don't need to build a wholesome financial model in order to be good at Excel. All you need is just this. If you do this over and over again, this could be replicated to any type of complex model that you see. It's just these few steps, these few sort of adding borders, formatting, adding color or whatever, custom number formatting, that sort of dictates how fast you are going to be at building models once you learn how to do it, right? And if you watch the LBO videos that I posted prior, it's just accumulation of exactly what I've did on this tab, but at a much faster speed, and we're adding some, I guess, like, not any complex mechanics. Like, you don't see any complex formulas in there. It's the same thing as what you're seeing here, but it's just, you know, just more concepts and more theories on what an LBO should look like. So yeah, like, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you guys notice, this is a slower video, but yeah, like, if you guys have any feedback, please comment it below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like it and let me know what other video ideas that you guys want to see. And by the way, M&A models, I don't think I'm gonna build it on this page, honestly. Like, my career has been spent in sort of mid-market sponsor-backed M&A, so there's like no share prices, accretion, dilution. So from that perspective, I'm going to be honest with you on where my strengths lie. I don't have experience in accretion dilution models. I saw a few comments on that. I'm not going to build it. I'm going to do a DCF video though, so stay tuned for that. And I'm also going to do a video introducing a channel and showing you guys the direction of this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time. Pow! No, that was stupid. Okay.